want to talk about the Washington football team, if that's okay
I'm
with
so
you.
glad you said that. Yes, let's do that.
I mean, look, this is a team that last year showed all the signs of a team that's on the rise. Coaching culture, all different now. It's not the same old, Washington franchise.
Hmm.
And you're talking about bringing in one of my favorite players in the world, Curtis Samuel. And I really think the Fitzpatrick move is genius more than anything because it doesn't really tip your hand on what you want to do in the draft. And now you have a guy who can win you games. I'm picking the Washington football team to win that division right now, even before the draft happens. The defense that they have, the William Jackson, adding William Jackson to that defense is already formidable when you're talking about Chase Young and those guys on the front line. It's just they continue to make really good moves. We should have seen the Curtis Samuel thing coming a mile away because of the Scott Turner, Ron Rivera ties and things like that. But Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, they're loaded a little bit. And everybody should be afraid of them because the most dangerous teams are the ones that don't have to pay a ton to their quarterback and can form a huge roster. And Washington's doing that right now because Fitzpatrick doesn't cost much. And Taylor Heinicke is there. So I love what they've done so far in free agency. I think they've knocked it out of the park.
The thing with Washington, though, too, they are still, in terms of teams that should and could trade up for a quarterback in this draft, I think that they're right at the top because when you look at teams that, one, need a quarterback and two, have the least amount of holes, I think Washington is the top team. You look at their defense, I mean, you touched on it. The front seven's incredible. Arguably the best young front four in football, just full of first-round picks. I mean, Chase Young, obviously defensive rookie of the year. Montez Sweat had a nice year. Jonathan Allen. They have had a very, very good uprising in terms of building that defensive line. And then adding William Jackson to go with Kendall Fuller. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in on Adoree Jackson as well, just to really secure that secondary. Because if you add another guy to the secondary, there's really no holes in that defense right now. You can make the argument middle linebacker, but even then, John Bostic was solid at least at that Mike spot. But offensively now, you got an offense that's got two talented young receivers and a quarterback with zero to give. And it's going to be fun. Now, when you look, they're sitting at 19 in the draft right now. It's going to be hard to get up to 3 or 4 to get one of these quarterbacks. Yeah. And when I put it out there, because I did the mock draft yesterday, my latest one, and I said, if you're Washington, you don't have a lot of holes. You can afford to give up some draft picks over the next 2 years, whether it's 6 or 7. You give up 3 this year, 4 next year, 3 this year, 3 next year, something of that material. And people are saying, why would you give up that much draft capital? Well, what do you really need to fill right now? I mean, you just brought back Brandon Treff. You bring in Curtis Samuel. That takes away the biggest need of wide receiver. Defensively, you're solid all over the place. You can't win anything without having a go-to quarterback. And I don't care. Everybody's going to say, well, Nick Foles did it. That's very much the exception and not the rule. So I think that at the very least, they should try to trade up to 4 with Atlanta, get Justin Fields or Trey Lance, whichever one's left, because both of them, I think, would be solid additions to that offense. You let them sit for a year, and if you feel confident in putting them in at any point in the year, then go ahead and do that. But with Ryan Fitzpatrick there, I mean, that is the perfect situation for them, because if they were still sitting with Tyler Heinicke, then that would be something where they might feel a little bit more pressed to trade up. But right now, I think they should be comfortable trading up because they've got a reliable starter for this year. They can hand the reins over after this year when Fitzpatrick's gone. So, no, Washington football team sitting pretty, and I would definitely agree with you. They are head and shoulders above everybody else in the NFC East right now.